Diving across to the tight end position now. I've seen this described as the best overall tight end class that we've seen in 10 years. I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but this guy, there's an awful lot to love. Former basketball player, shock, transition into tight end. A journeyed college career, shall we say. Slightly older prospect at 23, but 6'4", 242 pounds, out of Utah. Dalton Kincaid. Kevin, are you a believer that he could be the next fantasy superstar at tight end position?
Well, first, I do want to so for the guide, for the rookie guide, those of you that are, if you will, you have it. I did all the tight ends, and to the person of this, I was the tight end guru here as we split up other stuff. This is a loaded class, in terms of just value. But there's a lot of the other thing, and I'm glad you brought up his profile. A lot of these guys are old. So a lot of the tight ends in this class are all the COVID year guys, the guys that got an extra year, and they're all fifth year guys. You're looking, when you go across the board through their profile, you're like, man, this guy was in college for a long time. Yeah, he was. That's just the reality of this class. I think, when you look at it, the one thing to note about him, and again, if you want to use this, he played in college for 5 years because he transferred from Division II San Diego team. His first year playing tight end was in 2017 in high school, and then 2018 was his real first year actually at that position. So he's kind of got a receiver background as well. So in his ability to kind of go up there, we love the basketball guys and the football guys. We love that with our tight end position. I think he could be, he's getting buzz right now as tight end 1. So there's a lot of draft guys out there right now. They're saying, hey, Kincaid's tight end 1. Fantasy wise, he could be that. I think he's going to test probably better than Mayer. I think the really question is Mayer's testing is what's going to scare some people. I don't know if Mayer's going to run the 40, to be honest with you. I don't know if he wants to, because we saw this happen time and time again with tight ends. And I think that's the question mark. Kincaid, on the other hand, athleticism, hands, he's got a great catch radius. This kid's going to go up and go get it. I love that for him. Yak ability, he does that really well as just getting into space. He was Utah's one option. Not that Utah had very many options, because their receiver room is one of the worst in the country. But when you're looking at they had Kuth there, and when he got hurt, he really elevated his game. I thought they used him in a variety of different ways. He can almost run every route. When you're watching him, there's not anything seam route. He can get split out wide. I think that's where many people talk about him. And I think his versatility at that position is what fits the NFL. But again, there are some question marks, right? Run blocking is not a thing for him. He's not a blocker. When you're watching him, he's going to have to figure that out. I think if a team's going to use him and want to utilize him, they're going to maybe have to play a little 12 personnel and have him be the off guy, the guy that's going to be split out wide, or the guy that's going to be the receiver if they want to run it. I think that his size could be maybe an issue at 242. I don't know what he's going to come in at. Knowing these guys and how they do it, he'll be up there. But again, for me, it's, hey, he can be, but any of these tight ends, I don't know what your strategy is with tight ends, but mine is they got to be the number 2 target getter on a roster. If I'm going to really give me a lot of if I'm going to invest draft capital, I'm going to invest all this stuff in a guy, he better go to a team that has he knows he's going to get the second most targets, because that's really what I'm looking for at this position. I see a lot of people mock him to the Bengals. I would probably not like that. I like their offense, but where are the targets going to come from? If Higgins is still there and Boyd and these guys, you're looking at a player that maybe gets 4 catches, 6 yards and a touchdown, and you're happy with that. But I would love for him to find a spot where he could be that second target guy overall. And I think he's right there at tight end 1. I don't see I don't hate it. I think it really just comes down to a lot of these things with the tiers and where they're at. He's in tier 1. And then if he gets to a spot, you're oh, he's going to get targets and he's going to be that second guy, then I'll move him up.
Yeah, I think as a receiver, there's a lot to love. I think he's got some of the best hands of any receiver in this class, whether that be tight end or wide receivers. I don't think I saw him drop a ball at all on film. I think as a route runner, I think he is a technician. I think he is able to set up defenders. He's able to find those soft spots in zones, tick all those boxes that we kind of look for. The problem is that he is a pure F. There is absolutely no world, you mentioned it, that he can line up as a Y inline tight end and be utilized at the next level, because the blocking is, let's say, poor. I think that might be a bit generous. I think it is
non-existent.
Non-existent.
It's not there. It's just not there.
And I think that is going to be a challenge, because if you're basically saying this is this is Mike Gesicki. You know, is he going to have to line up as a wide receiver 80, 90% of the time? And that basically limits the number of offenses that are going to want to add him to a few. And I don't know if he's got the, it's basically his ceiling is potentially someone like Mark Andrews, who can line up outside 70, 80% of the time and be an elite fantasy option, or his floor is what we saw from Mike Gesicki this last year. And I struggle knowing where he comes in that range, because there is absolutely some traits that get you excited, the hands, the route run ability, his work as a receiver. But yeah, I worry that he could find himself only on the field in those true passing downs, and he becomes like a 40-50% snap guy, and that's just not got great fantasy appeal.
It doesn't. And I will say, I don't know if you listen to it. It's a podcast here. It's called Move the Sticks. It's with Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah. It's one of my favorite podcasts ever. And Bucky and Daniel, they always talk about this, and it always rings true. He always says, good teams and great teams draft players with a plan. And so, like, to me, Kincaid fits that to a T. Like when they were talking about all these guys, like the team that drafts Kincaid has to have a plan. Like, okay, we know what we're going to use him for in our offense. This is the piece we're missing. We're going to use him in this way. Not, oh, he's best player available on the board. He's a tight end. Let's draft him, because teams will do that. They just say, hey, best player available. We need a tight end. We don't know how we're going to use him. We'll figure it out. And that would be the worst thing for Kincaid. Kincaid is like that kind of piece that you're like, hey, we know what we're going to use him for. We're going to dial him in here. Like, I feel like Kyle Pitts went to a team that doesn't use him right, like doesn't utilize him in the way that he could kind of be. And I know, like, I'll get those people out there that say, like, Arthur Smith's amazing and everything's there. Like, I get that, but they drafted Pitts, best player available, and then they said, well, we'll figure it out. And they haven't figured it out yet. That first year was okay, and their quarterback was a mess. Like, Kincaid is that let's do this. Let's have it. And that's what, like, when you're looking at who's mocked to him. So if you guys don't do this, mock draft database, a pretty good database. The guy that runs it's really good guy. And he basically takes all the mock drafts out there. So, Bengals are on there for him. Again, like I said, like they might utilize him, but again, where the target's going to be. Green Bay, is that a position I want? I don't think they take a tight end in the first anymore if Rodgers isn't going to be there. Like, I think maybe they kind of move on there. The Saints, that would be kind of gross, I guess. I don't know. They got Juwan Johnson there already. And then what does that quarterback room look like? The Jaguars would be the only one that I would be like, huh. But then again, where the target's going to be. Like, so I think that's like with Kincaid, it's just hope that the team that's drafted him is a great team that has a plan. That's really where that was a long way of saying that, but that's what I mean.